Go
ahead. Here we are, another Saturday Night Live, July 11th, 2020, and we keep moving along. Keep moving along. Very interesting things going on.
How's everyone doing?
We got.
Any news from everyone? Anyone?
I broke a freak tooth.
Record temperatures?
Oh, I had a tooth break.
Oh.
Oh.
Fucking.
Was it an old filling?
No, tooth broke.
A tooth? What did you break it with?
A plum pit.
I broke my old filling with a olive pit. But it was almost like 29, 30 years old. It was lasted me quite a while.
So what did you do about it, Steve?
I have to go to I got an appointment Monday.
Okay. Like, is it like really bad? It's cracked?
Broken half.
Broken in half. So it kind of moves, right?
Try your best to do it without any needles.
Hands, and then Oliver.
Oh yeah, I don't usually. Depends on what he's doing.
Yeah, you'll recover much quicker, and then you don't have to detox all that anesthesia and crap out of you. That stuff is nasty. Sometimes
I've only been under anesthesia for the back operation. That's one time. That's it.
Yeah, sometimes it gets plugged up in certain areas of the body, and it's very difficult to get
out.
You gotta fast it out. That's the way to get it out.
Yeah, it's better to fast during as well, but not too long. The dry.
It'll be a little big.
So what would they do when the tooth is like completely?
Like crown it.
They fill it. What are they gonna do?
Oh, they fill it up.
I don't even know if there's the whole side of it's gone.
Yeah, my tooth it was up filled, but it broke like kind of half on an angle, so they just filled it up.
Yeah, he might be able to do that. They got some good stuff.
Otherwise, if it's completely gone, you got to put a crown.
Yep.
Non-metallic crown.
Wouldn't it heal by itself?
That?
Don't you? Maybe it heals on its own.
You got any pain?
What's that?
Any pain?
Nope.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
No, not on that one, but I've had some coming. There's something going on with one of the roots. It's been going on for actually the one right next to it. Probably 4 months. It started about 4 months back. If I fast and I eat very clean when I'm not fasting, I have no problem with it. As soon as I start eating shit, it starts acting up.
Yeah. It's the same.
Almost immediately.
Oh yeah, the inflammation. Is it the same tooth?
One right next to it.
Yeah.
But that was an anchor for a bridge, so it's kind of an important one. If that goes, 3 go.
Yeah, my mother her bridge came off, and
It's terrible. My own doing.
they couldn't fix it because the tooth broke that was holding, and we need to get her what do you call it, dentures. They want to pull out the other 2 teeth, and it's just way too much of an ordeal right now. She's deteriorating very fast. Today I had to actually go help the caregiver bring her up the stairs. She can't make it up the stairs.
She can't make it up the stairs anymore.
Well, she couldn't make it on her own, but with the caregiver, I needed to help her.
Do you have to carry her or something?
Pretty much.
Yeah, she's getting a little bit weaker.
It's interesting.
It's pretty sad. And also she's forgetting.
How the body deteriorates, the mind, the body.
It's quite fast, huh? The past 5 months?
When you give up the will to live, it's real fast.
Yeah.
Seen it.
5 years since your father.
Well, I'll tell you, my mother, God rest her, she had her 12 years to die. She had emphysema. And it just took a piece. Every time it just took a little piece more, a little piece more. And she told me she was on oxygen forever. That she would literally be crawling to the machine because she needed it and praying on the way that she would not make it there. Yet the will to live kept her going.
Mm.
That was a horrible way to die.
Mm.
Mm.
And my brother had the same thing, so he was watching his future.
We can choose to live or we can choose to die.
Yep.
It's yeah, from Kurt, to be thankful you're able to see her as hard as it is, unlike others with parents in homes. Yeah. Yeah, like I've some stories from people in homes, or people. A friend had to bring her father to the hospital, and can't be going in the hospital. They won't let her in, and he's going through some big challenges in there.
Like at the
She's
home?
freaking out in the hospital.
Well alone.
He's 90 years old, so you don't know what the hell they're doing. It's,
That's why we have to be responsible for our own health. So, you don't need someone else to supervise you, or,
90, it's a whole other story.
yeah. You were helping your dad in and out of the hospitals.
not fun.
And yeah, it would be nice for you to be knowledgeable enough to take care of yourself when you go to the hospital, to ask the questions.
You got to ask questions, lots of questions, and
Oh, you have to be proactive. I learned that when I was going through the back stuff. Actually, the head secret. That's
otherwise they just do whatever they want.
Yep.
They'll experiment.
I mean, they're not that bad. People are not that bad, most people, but
they have an agenda. The medical profession, most of them have an agenda.
Medical system, not necessarily the doctors themselves, they're just following the guidelines, but the whole system, the way it runs, like now putting people on ventilators, and which probably makes them worse, right?
Kills
them. Yeah, so things like this,
The lungs are already in a very inflamed state, and they pump them up, start rupturing, and cause more inflammation, and bye-bye Jack.
So yeah, it would be nice to
Jill.
Yeah. But nursing homes are not that bad, you hear good things most of the time. Sometimes you hear bad things.
There's some of them that are okay.
But most of the time you hear good things. You hear my friend has a grandmother in a nursing home and she's so happy. She didn't want to go initially, but now she's like, the leader of her team or something, like she's very active, and it's nice to hear these things, Before that, she was home and she was miserable and she was giving everybody a hard time. And when she went, she was not happy, but then she got used to it and she loved it.
The problem depends who's running them, because what's the purpose of these places popping up? Bottom line, nobody's going to open these things to not make profit, and that's the problem.
And here it's all government funded. It's all Medicaid, Medicare.
Yeah.
It's the problem. Always the problem. Over here, they're partially funded. And then there's private ones, but the private ones are not.
It shouldn't be a problem if it's funded.
What do they call? Over here, they call them long-term care, which is like a nursing home. So the private ones are for retirement living, where you have to be able to do everything on your own, and they're around $5-6 grand a month here.
The good ones.
The government funded, where it's nursing home, long-term care they call it. Private room is around $2,600. That's government funded a month.
But that's 24/7, right?
Yeah, that's 24/7 if you're bedridden or whatever. But doesn't mean anything. My aunt's father was in his 90s. He just passed away just before all this shutdown. He fell in the middle of the night, dead.
Yeah, he bled.
And he died. She goes in. They left him on the floor with all the blood there for her to watch, keep that in her memory. like it's unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like,
I think sometimes you have to just, when there's a dead body, you have to leave it, right? I guess. For investigations and stuff, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, doesn't matter. There's nobody, all these places, you'll hear the same complaints from the workers. There's not enough people working for the people that are in the homes. So they only have so many people, you know, per, I don't know, and it's just not enough. The person makes their rounds and that's all they can do.
It's like nurses. My goodness, nurses have a tough job too in the hospitals. They have a tough job.
The whole, you know, other aspect is we got to take care of our own health and, you know, die healthy. When you choose to leave, bye-bye, your sleep or just jump the fence or whatever. To go out in a way in a hospital or anything, it's not something I would I would choose. It's not a pleasant place to be for me. That's one of the places that I'm fearful of. Be in one of those places. You know, we have we've been around a few different hospitals. We did some tours with my dad, and there's the one downtown, Mount Sinai, where out of all the ones we went, I would prefer to bring somebody there than all the other ones. There's a difference. Mm-hmm. One of the places up here, man, they made my dad, they left him suffering for almost 12 hours. They just would not listen to anything we had to say, these assholes. And then they let him flatline again and just like ruthless. I would never tell anybody to go there. Just whatever you do, don't go to that one there.
And our friend just died there in September.
Yeah. So, you know, this one downtown, Mount Sinai, is there is a difference. But yeah, they
like they listen to you more. They talk to the
patient.
patient.
It's, you know, they more dialogue. This is where I had a conversation with the what's it called, pharmacist. She was Oriental, and she's you know, she said, I wish everybody would ask questions. I go, well, doesn't everybody ask questions? She goes, nobody. I go, what? She goes, nobody asks any questions. I go, you're joking. She goes, no.
It's true.
She goes, I wish everybody would ask questions like you.
But yeah, I mean, before you're getting into this cleanse, I mean, for you, it's been 31 years. But for me, maybe let's say 15 years ago, if my doctor prescribed something,
in a place they're going to be doing things to you, you're not questioning anything.
Like if my doctor gives me an antibiotic, I would go to the pharmacy and I would just get my antibiotic. If I wanted to ask a question, I would ask actually my doctor. You know, maybe that's it. Maybe they ask their doctors.
We see the outcome of what's happening here. Everybody's complying. No, the brain doesn't function anymore to be able to have that consciousness to ask questions. It's not there. It's just not there. We're so dumbed down as a whole of humanity.
So there's no critical thinking left.
No.
Mm-hmm.
They don't develop it.
It's interesting what times we're in. You know, we've chosen to be here, to be part of this
asylum.
Service.
Interesting times.
Let's enjoy the ride.
Anyone else have thoughts?
Yeah, we keep focus on PLAF.
Yeah.
Because I just
be the change we want to see. You know,
it's very interesting what's going on. Very interesting.
Anyone else has something to say about this?
Anybody on fast? I did about 10 days, mostly dry. Yesterday a little bit, and today a little bit. Feeling that low. But
You watched your phone today? How was it?
Yeah, okay.
Interesting stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as good of a flush as I would like, but we'll see what happens in the morning.
Tomorrow. Usually the next few days, it takes a while, right? Especially if it's long.
So we got some rain last night and a little bit today.
A lot today. It's raining.
Feels good. Bring that washing the aura.
I love it.
Oh, it's thick here. It's nasty.
Did it rain?
Not today. The humidity's through the roof.
Yeah, the humidity is high, but it's still today rained. Finally, it cooled up a little bit, which is nice. Cooled up.
Oliver, how you doing? You still on level 7? You around? Taking a nap?
Busy.
Some real interesting times ahead of us with everything going on. Really interesting.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know what's the best and what's going to happen and what's the best solution. Everybody has things to do, So, but there is always something that we can do. There's no question about that. We just have to focus and decide what is the best for us, as individuals, because everybody's different.
The focus is living less is more. That's going to always be an advantage no matter what situation. There's no disadvantage to living a less is more lifestyle. Always advantages, no matter what situations, no matter where you are. That's going to help you in every situation. So that's what we focus on. Being self-sustained as much as you possibly can. There's people doing it actually in the cities, almost fully self-sustained. It's with a little bit of ingenuity and set up, like if you're in a cold climate, some kind of mini greenhouses and stuff to grow things all year round. It's all possible. Just have to be creative.
Are you able to do it, Steve?
I went pretty much all year this past year, but we had a really warm winter, so things growing. Yeah.
So you were able to grow all year long almost in your greenhouse?
Yeah.
Nice. So
I had to heat it.
Sorry?
I had to heat it, but I didn't heat it till.
Oh, okay.
Usually I don't fire it up till the end of February. I think I did it in December when I started heating it.
We didn't have.
But I didn't use any. I mean, it didn't cost me anything to heat it this year. It was so warm down here.
And what were you growing? Sorry, in winter.
Lettuce, cabbage, spinach.
You can't grow tomatoes.
Huh?
You can't do the tomatoes, right?
No. What kind of heater?
Is it because it's not warm enough?
Okay.
Is it because it's not warm enough?
No, it's not warm enough.
And the sun as well, not enough.
Not enough sun.
So you grow the greens.
I do in New York, though. A couple of years ago, one of the stores started having these little cherry tomatoes. They were freaking good. You would have believed that was a greenhouse grown tomato in the middle of winter. They did it. I forgot how many acres under glass in New York. And it's its own environment. It creates its own environment in there.
Yeah, we have
grow all year long.
I don't know, maybe a couple hours from us, Leamington, Ontario. It's miles and miles and miles of greenhouses. They grow tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers, I think, are the 3 main things.
So we see them all year long, right?
All year long.
A lot of it's what we buy here.
Yeah.
So you close the borders.
Massive operations. There's a few different technologies that I looked over the years. One was a soap bubble greenhouse. Have you ever heard of that?
What is it?
Soap bubble, soap. Mm-hmm. They have a double wall greenhouse and they fill the the inside with soap bubbles, and it creates a huge R value, and which allows all the sun to come through. And there was a fellow doing that. This is from years ago. I read that, and he was growing everything all year round, tomatoes, cucumbers, and stuff. I think it somewhere was in the Ottawa area or something. Then there's the earth ships, kind of thinking, you know, where they kind of build inside of a hill, or you know, and you have the southern side exposed, or you make your own hill, and so it's all buried most of the house. And there was a guy. He was actually a music artist. I think it was also an Ottawa bank. He lost it to the banks. He had built an earth ship, and he may still have his videos up. Earl Star, I think his name was. And he was growing pineapples and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's tropical bananas and.
In Toronto.
Not in Toronto, Ottawa. It's even colder than here. So everything's possible. You just have to have a little bit of ingenuity, creativity, and use the earth, you know, the nature as much as you possibly can.
And technology.
Because if you're going to do it by force, to heating and so on, you're always going to be going against that, and it's going to cost you way more, and so on and so forth.
And I think those greenhouses in New York, that's geothermal.
From the earth.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's R value?
Insulation value.
Measurement of how much insulation could. I don't know how they.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Colder heat that can penetrate through. So the bigger the R value, the more it can insulate the heat or the cold. Just a form of measurement they use.
But I don't understand, if it's soap bubbles, then how does it, is it literally soap bubbles, or is it some sort of synthetic something?
Actual soap bubbles. They would fill it with soap bubbles. If I remember, he would do it soap bubbles when the sun was down, and then dissipate them when the sun was up. So we get full sun, something like that. But it worked. It worked awesome. If you Google it or duck it, I don't use Google anymore.
Yeah. So the soap bubbles last like a half a day, and then they deteriorate, and then they do it again.
Yeah. Well, the thing to make the soap bubbles is a little kind of pump thing. I'm gonna fill it up very easily.
So you don't use any material. It's just the soap.
Yeah.
Other than the soap.
Soap. You know, dish soap, whatever. I don't remember what kind of soap. Just to make like bubbles. Any soap that will make bubbles.
Like big, huge bubble, or like
soap bubbles.
Many bubbles?
Many filled with bubbles. Inside the walls of the glass would be filled with soap bubbles. And that would give it the R value. Because you've locked in the all the air.
Okay.
And it worked. The guy did it.
Amazing.
I haven't heard much about it. This is maybe going back 10, 15 years. I read about this guy. If he's still around, I don't know. But he had done it. Earth chips, there's people all over the world doing the earth chips.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of varieties. I like the ones that are on the ground. Those are cool.
Yeah, and then also the underground greenhouses. They dig a hole, and then they just put a piece of glass to get the sun into the ground, and you know that's much easier to heat up because you have the insulation factor of the ground. You only have the glass on the top.
But that's not enough sun, you know?
They have it on an angle kind of thing in the sun, and then they have the capabilities of opening it up in the summer. I don't know how they control the water. I don't remember exactly if it rains and stuff, but yeah, there's that. There's that. There's lots of hydroponic kits people are coming up with now. I think even IKEA has, if I'm not mistaken, they came out with a little grow up to grow some greens in your house, a little hydroponic thing. So, sprouts, you don't need any special lighting.
Oh.
In 2 weeks, you can grow most sprouts. And I did it for like 15 years religiously. Almost every single day I was planting, until I had too much, then I would just cut back. But I was growing for my parents, for my sister, for my uncle, one of my uncles. It was lots of sprouts.
Your friends?
And no, I was, I was eating my greens. That was my staple of greens. Growing my own sprouts. I was mainly doing sunflower sprouts and pea sprouts, and then the grasses, and then I would do occasionally some other different sprouts. But those were my staples. And when you grow them with ocean water, the taste is incredible. Benjamin, hi, I'm Benjamin. I've heard of people in Russia growing lemons in ditches in the ground to take advantage of the earth's heat. In Russia, eh? Interesting. So that's similar to, they would probably cover it up in the winter. Oliver, I want to grow zucchini. My lemon tree is great. Oh yeah, lemon. Is it a lemon tree that produces all year round? I remember my children's grandparents' house. They had a lemon tree that produced 4 times a year, all year round. It was always full of lemons. And I was eating them right off the tree, just the whole skin and everything. They were just amazing lemons. We don't get those over here. Yeah, all year round. Huge lemons, great taste. Yeah, there you go.
California.
Yeah, no, I think there's some lemon trees.
Good climate there.
Yeah, that produce all year, and then there's other ones that don't. I guess it depends on the variety or whatever.
I got 2 out in back. I got them in pots. They got little lemons on them this year. When I bought them, I got a stick. And I said, what the hell's that? I stuck it. They're growing though. They're doing pretty good.
I had one of my friend's dads who he had a fig tree for many years. They would bury it in the winter, literally take it out, bury it, in the spring take it up, and the thing produced tons of figs. As it was getting bigger and bigger, it was getting harder to do. But then they finally one year they were digging a few years ago and they hit the root and it died. But they did that for I don't know how many years, more than 10, probably 15 years. They were doing it like that. I know there's.
What do you mean? They buried the entire tree?
Yeah,
underground to save it for
because
during the winter.
If it hits if it gets any frost, it's dead.
Yeah.
So, I remember talking to a farmer. He goes, "You don't need to bury; just cover it all around with all hay bales." He goes, "That'll prevent the frost from hitting the roots." I guess you can if you pile them up enough in a big area and get enough hay bales. I guess you can do it that way, right? So there's many things we can do, even in all types of climates, if you are creative. And that's where, the more you fast, the more creativity will come forth. And then the less you'll have to eat.
So Gino, you did 10 days mostly dry. You did that recently, like?
Yeah.
A few days ago, you finished.
You finished a few days ago.
Thursday or something. Thursday.
Yeah,
I think Thursday started eating.
Thursday or Friday. What was it?
Thursday. You had some dates.
Because you were having like cleansing issues last week.
Yeah. Well, that's why I went on the dry. I went on the few days before that. So it's about, I don't remember the day I started. I have it in my phone.
Yeah, he was
Which
better
day
after.
did I start?
I think Sunday he was better.
Let's see, what day was it? So it was on June the 28th when I started, and then I was having issues. A few days into that, a couple days into that. But Always fun.
You know, I have a question. It's hard to formulate, but like, you know, I live alone. I rent a small room in a house. It's a very quiet, beautiful place. And but I live alone right now, and I'm always thinking that, you know, I've been doing master fast hybrid every other day for the last few months, pretty much, with a couple of exceptions. But so I can do that. And initially I did those two longer dries. So, but my point is that I always feel like I have to be in another place. Like I visualize myself doing serious cleansing and master fast and dry fasting elsewhere. I always feel like it's in this place where I visualize like being out in the country in a cabin with a 4-wheel drive pickup truck and living essentially alone or with a like-minded person also doing it. So like you guys live in a urban, I mean, I don't know, Steve, you live on a farm, right? So like, do you live close to any urban areas?
Oh, I'm in a small city.
You live in a small city? So you just have a small piece of property where you do farming.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then Gino, you and Rana, you live in essentially like a suburban area.
Small city.
Small city.
Small city.
North of Toronto.
Yeah. It's quite busy.
It's getting
Because like I live in the San Francisco Bay Area in a more woodsy area of the East Bay. And so it's not a horrible place to do it, but I have this sense of place where, you know, and it's kind of like I don't really, it's like this. I feel like my discipline and my focus would be better if I were elsewhere. And
the other side.
Well, yeah, the other side of the street.
Yeah.
Down the street.
Sometimes, you know, the environments, you know, they can affect us in a different negative way or whatever. And if we're in a different situation, we would benefit, you know, because some people are in situations where they need to change. That's for sure.
Usually family.
For whatever reason.
Family brings stress usually.
Huh?
Family usually, if you're like living with family, it can be a little bit stressful because you worry about each other.
Yeah, my family's in New Jersey. But like, yeah, so I don't know.
Oh, we're saving it for later. That's why I put a separate fork in it. I just cooked the whole thing.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, if you're on your own, I think you're that's it. That's really all it takes. That you are basically kind of free from worries.
You're on your own. You can do whatever you like, right?
Yeah.
Out to the nature, but you don't have to be somewhere, you know, in the middle of nowhere. You don't have to be completely isolated like that, you know. As long as it's quiet and you can, you know, you're free to do what you want. That's really all it takes. Yeah, you can do it anyway, in fact, but it's just more challenging when you have people who are not like-minded around you.
Yeah, sure. but the like-minded, you know, like people who are opposed to what you're doing, that's one thing, but it's also just like I just don't know. I don't know, like my habits that are like my present habits that are about 12 years old since I've been doing this job, like they're so ingrained that I just feel like I have to get out of here to move away from my you know what I mean? It's like you do whatever you can to maximize your potential to do the fasting. And
like if you're thinking that like-minded people will will like be a really good thing. I mean, yeah, sure, but you still have to do it yourself. Like Gina
Yeah.
and I, we don't fast together.
Really?
We want, yeah.
That so you is that just the way it goes, or do you intentionally not fast together?
It just happens to be. It's almost always the opposite.
Yeah.
Like we must be very different. That I always, yeah, when I get into a fast, he finishes his fast, I start eating. And it's really interesting. Not always, but it happens, many times fast together. But most of the time we're fasting, so we do have lots of overlaps. But when you do a longer fast, it's usually
the thing with fasting, you need to be in the right mindset. Yeah. And sometimes you can sync up with somebody else, but
very individual.
It's an individual thing where when you're ready, bang, you're ready. Just jump in. No big deal. Nobody's going to stop you. Nobody's going to encourage.
Not very many like-minded people anyway, John. So
yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But like just as a case study, like Rana and Gino, like they don't do it together. So it's like, that's interesting.
I mean, most of the time we're fasting, so it's most of the time it's like we're kind of doing it together. But if I do, like, let's say 100 days of eating 2 days a week, Gino is not always is not doing 100 days. He's just most of the time he fasts. Sometimes he eats. Sometimes he eats more. Sometimes he fasts more. Like, yeah. For me, I would say I'm more structured than him for sure, but he's more disciplined than me when it comes to eating and breaking. He's actually very good.
So you're more structured because you need that structure. You need to impose that structure on yourself.
I love it. I love routines.
Yeah, it's routine.
He has lots of routines too. His routine is actually pretty much always the same, but it's yeah. But his eating and fasting is more random than me. For me, I like, when I plan it, I plan to eat on the weekend. For him, he doesn't necessarily plan it like that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
since taking care of my mother, also, there's been I had more structure prior to that, so there's always something coming up. So you cannot beat yourself because something came up. You have to be able to be flexible, and so that's another thing. And
you go grocery shopping for her too.
And it's changes a lot of things, because
changes everything.
Yeah. It's just the way it is. Things come up all the time.
Yeah.
So it's just like if you have any children, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's no different.
Yeah.
You gotta always be around them. If you have a dog, it's very similar. It's a lot of work to have a dog, whereas a cat's more independent, right? Just feed it and it's done. It doesn't take care of itself. But it's
there's dependency.
It's challenging to have somebody dependent on you. It's challenging.
A husband and wife, I feel it's more like you have to have your own responsibilities together, so that's different. But and plans
as a wife, you said?
Yeah, husband and wife, it's a different relationship. There's dependency, but it's like, it's different. You don't have to.
Well, mutual.
Sorry?
Mutual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the routine aspect is important, because that's where you make it or break it, because like something in the routine gets slightly changed and then your mood changes. Yeah. If you're a beginner,
it's having a routine is a very good thing to have.
You gotta be flexible also.
You have to be flexible.
Yeah, be rigid.
Yeah.
Like myself, if you're not flexible.
I'm too rigid. I always have been. If I set something, I try not to deviate.
Yeah.
When I do it, I beat myself up for it.
Yeah.
I'm learning not to be as rigid.
Learning, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was like you, Steve, I got broken where It's just, I can't, there's just no way I can be rigid anymore.
No, you can't.
It's hard for you.
There's your part. So, but yeah, I had more of a rigid thing, a routine. Bang, 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 bang. Like,
Nothing would deviate.
It doesn't work for me anymore.
But it also indicates mastery. I mean, if you get more flexible and you just eat randomly, if you do it randomly and you're integrating the dry fasting and everything, then that indicates mastery if you look at it that way.
Sure. Yeah, he's
right, because
better at overall, with the food, I would say, than me. Which is the hardest part of the fasting.
Having to cut your colon cleansing short to go running over. There's been a few of those. It's not fun time, but you got to do what you got to do, and it's
one time you sent me over.
So it's some people, they think they have the most challenging more than anybody else, and
we're all challenged.
We all have challenges, and they're all different challenges, and all our challenges look like they're the biggest challenges. But
when you're in them,
yeah, when you compare it to some other people, what is this? Well, it's nothing what we got. It's peanuts. So take things day by day and embrace all the changes as best we can, and be open to be flexible, because there's going to be times where you're going to have to be flexible. It's just the way it is. People have to work, they have to do this, they have to do that, there are other commitments, whatever. Things will always come up. There may be riots in your area, who knows.
An important thing is our
pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
We hope it doesn't go that way.
They want it that way. The power structure wants that.
Part of the plan.
We know.
It's also our attitude of how we see the challenges. We don't want to be complaining for the rest of our lives about our challenges,
They're there, and we talk, and Kurt's asking, is my mom separate house? Yeah, she's in a separate house. It's only a few houses away, 4 houses away. So walking back and forth several times a day.
She likes her space, for sure.
We have a live-in caregiver that we had brought in the beginning of the year, and
she's there 24/7.
But it's honestly, she needs 3 people around the clock.
Yeah, I mean, last night she didn't sleep, for example.
Yeah, all night last night. She wouldn't want to sleep.
And so
standing up all night.
So basically, the caregiver would not sleep, and it's pretty hard.
It's tough. It's hard to operate, for anybody to operate if they don't get their sleep.
It's amazing that she's still very nice and smiling and patient. Yeah.
So, just to finish off my question, it occurred to me that some mornings I'll wake up and I'll just know, as soon as I wake up, I'll just know, okay, today I'm doing hybrid. And I just feel like I'm dialed in. And then other days I wake up and I'm saying, well, gee, what am I going to do today? I don't know. It's not clear to me. And so those are the little patterns that I notice. And I that's why I was asking you, it's almost like, I don't know if you like the term biorhythmic, but it's there are certain days when I just know what my protocol is for the day. And it's really easy to stick to it because I just have it, it's in my mind. but you know, it's not that interesting or anything, but I was just wanted to see what you
That's
guys.
where the discipline comes in on the days that you're not dialed in.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just wondering why that is, you know, like why do I wake up someday and just be in a fog, like not being close to. That's why I keep coming back to the Zooms, because I need to be close to it, you know. Otherwise I just get, you know, my own devices take over, you know.
Sit right there, you get in your own way.
Yeah.
We all do.
It's what I say, you need to be in that right mindset. And just as you explained, John, you know, some days, bang, man, you know, that mindset's there. And other days, you know, I think anytime we feel those days that we don't know what to do, best thing is to fast.
Yeah.
You have to think about anything.
I mean, it's good to have a structure. I like the structure of, like, you have the week, and let's say every Tuesday or whatever you dry fast, and then you are doing the liquid master fast. The other days, whatever, the 3-4 days, whatever, and then on the weekend, you know, take my break and eat, but do the master fast for the most part, and then eat later on. Yeah, I feel like the routine of having a structured week really helps. This way I'm looking forward. Monday comes, okay, I'm back to to fasting. Monday comes, I start fasting again, and it becomes a routine. It's really hard at the beginning to be disciplined, to get back on fasting the first few weeks. Yeah, this is training, you know, you really have to train your body. It's always hard to start, but when you do them for a few weeks, it becomes so easy because you proved it to yourself.
It's not always hard to start.
At the beginning, for me, it takes 3 weeks to build the habit, and then after that, it becomes like, yeah, I'm looking forward for the fast. But if I'm eating 3 weeks, you know, every day, it's really hard for me to start that pattern again. Yeah.
I think it's a great topic because I'm always battling back and forth about, you know, what's the right time to start a fast or the right place to start a fast. And so there's always this little mind game for me about it. And I think it's a great topic because no matter what, it always seems to come down to just discipline and finally just kind of pushing myself to get started under the best or worst circumstances available to me at that time. And then, you know, I always go through a series of excuses for myself, like, well, I'll do it tomorrow after I've binged on whatever I'm binging on today. Or, you know, like, I'll just have one extra day here of eating because there's still food in the refrigerator.
Yep.
And then once that food is, you know, gone, now I can start. But then it's like suddenly somebody invites me to go out, or, you know, or I find something else that I want to do. And then there's another excuse to put it off. And there's another environment that I need to be in. And so it's constantly coming down to just, you know, that discipline, I think, like what Steve said. So, yeah.
Yeah, we got to have some discipline. Otherwise, the excuses are limitless. Mm-hmm. They keep popping.
Talk ourselves into anything.
I made a post a few years ago about all the excuses of, you know, of why we shouldn't fast. We can keep adding to it and adding and adding and adding, because all these thoughts come up to pretty much all of us, and they don't go away. So you have to come to the terms and we embrace the discipline to say, okay, who cares what thoughts coming through? They're not mine. Brush them off and focus, or we let into all the mumbo jumbo that comes through. And we'll always come up with new ones and better excuses. Yeah, you know, fasting is it's a challenge because society is not supportive of this lifestyle.
But only at the beginning. Once you get into it, it's really easy.
Very few people, percentage-wise, around the globe. What's the percentage of people that fast? You know, there's the religions that do it at certain times, and those numbers are pretty big. But I mean, on a regular basis, as a lifestyle, it's very small. It's smaller than Corona.
A lot smaller than Corona.
The crown. We're all getting crowned by the Corona. We're all kings and queens. Our destiny, and the soul's in charge. The soul's the conductor. Let it do what it has to do, and it's a beautiful place to be when you're in that realm of that light and allowing the things to unfold. And you know, we've seen so many miracles. It's just incredible. You know, when people question it, and people still will question it. Doesn't matter if we produce another gazillion testimonies from people. People are going to still question it.
It's usually people who haven't done it.
So, you know, if we really grasp the new understanding, and you see one miracle, then you will know that it's possible. One miracle. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's this or that. It doesn't matter, because the new understanding reveals that everything is possible when you are able to put the physical, mental, and emotional body in a certain state. And everything happens on its own. It corrects itself, and it's all beautiful and wonderful and amazing. So how do we continuously keep ourselves motivated to be moving forth in that state, living in that state? And that's the whole thing where being on these calls, supporting each other, inspiring each other. You know, because if you're living in society with most people, excuse me, who are not living a fasting lifestyle, you can have very, you know, strong discipline, but day after day, it starts dragging us down a little more, if we're not really focused. And that's what happens. And anything can trigger us to, you know, fall off or whatever. So, you know, the one thing after all these years is that kept me going. You know, like I said, I've mentioned before, there's years I've fasted less than other years, and you know, some years fasted way more. But there's always the focus in fasting, even though there was less in some years. And what kept me focused is the understanding of fasting and what it is. You know, it's not deprivation. It's the complete opposite. And the more you get into that state, the more you'll understand it, and the more benefit you'll have. And
so it's not only one miracle; it's many miracles.
We can, you know, being in those states, you inspire other people, even if they're not ready today. You know, whatever, a couple of words that you can tell somebody, that seed planted can, you know, sprout in months or years or whatever. And I've seen that happen several times with people over all these years, which is awesome. You know, we're not going out preaching or anything, but it's now that, you know, you're somebody's looking for an answer, and you just happen to be there, that with maybe some answers that can guide them in the proper way for themselves. You know, as was when I started, you know, 31 years ago, you want to tell the whole world. You want to save the world. And the world is not ready to listen. They don't give a shit.
They don't want to be saved.
Yeah. let's face it, most people don't care about their health. At all. At all. Zero thought process of taking care of their health. Most people. There's, you know, a small percentage of people that's been growing over the years that are educating themselves more and more about health.
People think that they're taking care of their health most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they think they do. But
yeah, they're like, but I bought the low sodium bacon, you know, I got the low fat milk, you know, I'm taking care of my health. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Live in the illusion.
So, but they are making a step towards something they believe is the right path, and you know, is the truth, which is so that makes it the majority of people actually do care, but they're not really dedicated enough. You know, they're not dedicated enough to learn more. They hear stuff. They hear about raw food, for example, and they get inspired by a story about raw food or about fast. Or anything, you know.
If we made a percentage of how many people have some kind of pharmaceutical in their house, you'd be shocked at how high that percentage is.
In the 90s.
But that's normal, yeah.
I would say probably at least 70%.
At least.
Probably more.
Yeah.
More.
At least like an aspirin or some pharmaceutical drug is in the home.
Oh yeah.
Probably like over 95 has.
I would say
I agree with you, Oliver. You're looking good, by the way, Ali. How you feeling?
Feeling fantastic.
There you go. You look great, man.
As always.
How many
I wanted
days?
to say earlier, it's always the right time to fast. It's always the right time and the right place.
Now is always the time, and now here is always the place.
Yeah.
So you're feeling
How many days now?
Huh?
How many days?
48,
Nice.
47.
nice.
Yeah.
That's the longest that you've went?
Longest MFS. I've done a regular juice fast for 120 days, but
Oh, okay.
for MFS, this is definitely the longest. And also the most committed, like my last 40 day one, I was drinking like a lot of like herbal this and like the herbal broth, a lot, the veggie broth. I would have like soup, but it was like broth soup, but it had like salt in it once in a while. This time I completely was like, I'm not touching any of that stuff. I didn't have any anything with salt, and I was a lot more laser focused this time around, and it really paid off. I feel much more. I have a lot more results, and I feel a lot better.
Yeah, this is what I was gonna ask. Compared, to anything else you have done, it is like I'm sure you're releasing the most you have ever released, right?
Yeah, it's weird because should I put on my headphones? Is the audio bad?
No,
Fine.
Pretty good.
In my past fast, I always would end up with a healing reaction. That would be like, okay, I'm releasing a lot, and it would manifest in a healing reaction. This time around, I haven't had one healing reaction, not one. But yeah, it's great. But how I'm feeling the elimination is in my bowels, and it's like big time. Like I have to, I've upped my enemas to 2 sessions a day. So I'm doing, like maybe 8 to 12 liters in each session, but I have to do one in the morning and one at night, because if I don't do one at night, I'm bloated before I go to bed. How much is just coming out. So, it's a lot. It's kind of tiring at times. I'm like, and I went to Temecula for the day, and just as we drive out, like 10 minutes out, I'm like, shit, I forgot my enema bag. And I was like, I can't, and I'm not gonna, there's no way. I took 3 tablespoons of plasma pudding. That's stuck, that's not coming out without an enema. And we were supposed to sleep there. So luckily a friend visited us, and they went home that night. So I took a ride home with them. And the second I got home, I did enemas, which was pretty late at night, but much better than not doing the enemas.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because as that pudding's coming through, man, it's just drawing.
Yeah.
Pulling.
Yeah, and I've had a whole lot of watery stool, which is fun.
How was the smell throughout the? There are some like strong smells coming out sometimes.
Yeah, it's always a gross smell. It's always something. I don't know. I honestly, I'm the type of person that I really like look at what in the toilet for 1 second, I flush it down, and I'm like, okay, let's keep going. I mean, sometimes it's like bright yellow that comes out. Sometimes it's really slimy and mucousy. I actually, this is gross, but I like when the plasma pudding is more whole because it's more comfortable that it all comes out together. Yeah. I get really uncomfortable when I do my enemas and I don't feel a full sense of relief. Those are the tough days. I'm kind of having that day right now where I did my morning enemas and it's like, it wasn't really coming out, you know? And sometimes no matter how much water you put up there, maybe it's just a little bit more stuck up in the small intestine, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's, you know, if you keep it going, it comes out because the next time you take the plasma pudding and the next time you do the enema, sometimes you release like 2-day-old plasma pudding or a day old. I don't know how old, but you know, sometimes you can tell it's a little backed up, but it comes out, you know, you just have to keep
drinking 2 liters.
Yeah, I drink easy 2 liters. I probably drink like 2.5 liters a day.
That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're doing,
never holds on to the pudding ever. It's never held on to it.
Nice.
Anything to, I don't need any aid to get that comes out. Sometimes it comes out at the wrong time too.
Yeah, I think it right now.
It's coming. Ain't no stopping.
Yeah, I think mine right now, because I'm eliminating so much that it literally, like when it's coming out, it's held on to so much crap that, you know, the body just, it needs that. You literally just put in a little bit of water and then, you know, it all starts going. But, yeah.
And are you feeling great overall?
Yeah, I feel really good. I'm trying to think if I had any hard time.
More energy than ever.
Yeah, I feel amazing. You know what? I was talking about this earlier, and it's pretty interesting that, you know, when we start our fast, we really, and I told you this over the live, I wrote a comment about it that that when we start our fast, we have such a purpose, a reason, right? We know exactly, like pain is our greatest motivator, right? So we're eating, so we're feeling like, oh, I want to fast, you know? So you start fasting and you're really into it, but then it's kind of as the month and the weeks go by and you feel so normal in this state, it feels so good, you kind of question, like, you know, it's the monkey mind, but what am I doing it for? You know, I feel great. I could just go back to clean eating, and that's how I've been feeling lately. But through my experience, I know that the second you go back to the food, even though it's clean, you just don't feel the same, you know? But it's hard to remember that.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and also the sort of like spiritual side, I feel like when I'm on the shorter cycle of, you know, fasting and eating, I feel like I tap into those, you know, higher or deeper states, whatever you want to call them, a little bit easier. And lately I've just been so energetic and so creative and doing my own thing. And I've been just busy, you know, but wanting to be busy, that I'm actually less focused on like the spiritual side of it. Like lately I have been doing like less meditating, less chanting, like less of those deeper states. And it's just, I don't know. And, you know, maybe when you're more in the suffering mind, when you have more suffering, you're more drawn to find that tranquility within yourself or that peace.
Are you, maybe because you're sensing those states more throughout the day than regularly? Or?
Maybe. I think I'm so happy, you know, I'm so joyous that.
Yeah, you don't need to put that time aside. I'm in this state. I don't need to put that extra time aside. I'm just always in that
Yeah,
state.
exactly. And I feel like when you're eating, you have to like pull yourself to listen to the the chanting music and sit there, which is, it's always good. I'm not saying it's bad ever, but you like need it. You kind of just need that time more. And now I'm just like, things can happen. I release them and I carry on. I don't feel like I need to sit down and, focus on releasing it. It's coming more naturally. For example, I mean, the thing is, it's such a gradual blend that's why you kind of forget where you even were in the first place. But it's much more drastic when you go back to food. And I've had that in the past, where when I broke an extended fast and I went back to food, I immediately noticed that I was feeling all these emotions and they weren't just releasing. Like, it feels more like, you're getting hit by waves and you're not standing above them. You're kind of crashing with the waves of the emotions. And when you're fasting, you can, sit with the emotions, release them, transmute them a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Channels are open.
Yeah.
More open.
How about Tatiana? You're doing a long one too. How's it going?
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you. It's going good. Today is day 30, which is like twice as long that I've ever done.
Awesome.
And on MFS, it feels like a vacation. It's so easy. You've made it so easy. So I can see how people can live on this.
Yeah, you have more energy. I remember you mentioned
More time,
creativity, work.
Yeah, so many ideas. I want like more time. I love the simplicity of it and the freedom. I just feel more connected. Spending time in nature. Today's my dry fast. So I sat by our Lake Ontario, and I was reading Man's Higher Consciousness. Couldn't put it down.
Oh, I want to read that.
Really good book. Really good. Really good.
I'm reading that now. That's an awesome book. I wanted to talk about that too. Keep going.
What book?
What the
book was
breathing
that?
part and how important the breath is, and good air. It brings all problems down to a lot of the problems that plague the man are to polluted air or stagnant air. So again, like motion is life, stagnation is death.
What are you reading?
Man's Higher Consciousness by Hilton Hotam.
Oh yeah. That's a trippy book.
Yeah. Oh, and I have a
back when we were giants, right?
Oh yeah, we were giants. Yeah. It takes some stepping out of the conventional thinking. And I have a 432 story. I spoke to a childhood friend of mine who was a nurse in pediatrics unit a few weeks back, and I mentioned 432 to her and the results people have seen with that. And then she comes back to me a week later and she says she was on night shift, and there's a boy there that has never slept for a long time, sleepless nights, and everyone who was on duty then had a lot of trouble with him, and something like clicked. She remembered the 432 thing, so she put it on quietly when she was doing yoga with him before sleep, and he already started falling asleep on the mat.
What did she use, music or the tone?
I didn't ask her. She probably just YouTube, whatever. Probably tone, I'm guessing.
The top searches when you search 432 are really good.
The what, sorry?
The top searches. So when you just search 432 into YouTube, those top few videos are really good. They're some of the best ones. Yeah,
I love those. Yeah, and then she put the speaker in his room, to sleep, and played it from outside, and he was just out like in an instant, and she was so amazed. She went and did the same to another boy. So that I was so happy to hear that, and that's so amazing. And coming from someone with such a scientific mind, and very analytical, but she's very she's not like other nurses. She's very like open-minded. Not that all the nurses close-minded, but I mean, she like instead of just following protocol, she observes. Like I know by her stories, I can see that she observes like what works, what doesn't, and like follows her intuition. So that's anyway. That was a beautiful story for 32. Yeah.
We've seen some pretty interesting things with 432 over the years. Like, it's just like, whoa.
Even your sister, when she was singing, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I heard your stories on the Zooms to record. Amazing.
I mean, what's your take on it? What's your take on it? Like, if you're listening to something heavy, like, if it's not Handel, it's like heavier than Handel. Do you still think that you would have a benefit with 432? Like, if it was, like I listen to plenty of heavy stuff.
Yeah. What's that? There's dissonance, and then there's harmony. So there's no in between there, John. Heavy, soft, whatever. There's dissonance, and then there's harmony. So if you're playing any music on whatever it is, dissonance, it's kind of a stress factor in a living organism. If it's heavy metal and whatever, the heaviest you can find, but it's in 432, believe you me, it's not one of dissonance. It's want to be in harmony with your living organism.
My brother told me Pantera is in 432.
Pantera?
Really? See, yeah, like
I can't do a lot of it.
There was a band that did the Fibonacci. I can't remember real heavy. What were they? Tool. I think it was Tool. They're real heavy.
Yeah.
The whole album.
Yeah, Tools.
In Fibonacci.
Which is 432.
It's not 432.
Yeah.
It's Fibonacci. In Fibonacci, you guys know the pattern of Fibonacci, right? The mathematical sequence.
Yeah. It's a nautilus.
And that also brings balance?
Well, it's how everything functions on this planet, how everything grows in that pattern of mathematical equation. And it's very interesting. But, you can tune it back in 432.
So you think the heavier stuff is commonly in a Fibonacci sequence?
No, there was a band, I think it was the Tool, it's called Tool. They made an album based on Fibonacci, the math of Fibonacci.
Yeah, I know that band.
Yeah, it's a while ago. I don't know if they're still around. I haven't been following music in a while.
So they're intentionally putting their music to some sort of Fibonacci, like the way they produce it?
Yeah, like the way the beats and stuff, they did it in that sequence, that mathematical sequence.
Wow, I never knew that. That's
pretty,
interesting.
Pretty complex the way they did it, but it's pretty amazing. Yeah, there was. I think there was also a guy on YouTube with a piano doing something with Fibonacci. Yeah, so the 432, the tone of 432, it's in harmony with everything on this planet and within this universe that we know of. They are singing in that tone, for instance. So when you're in that tone, it's in harmony with that. When you go outside of that, you're in dissonance. So there's vibration that will put you out. You know what I mean? You won't be in sync with it. And, you know, you go watch rock, we go to a rock band, rock concert or whatever, and everybody's rah, 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 they're enjoying themselves. But the next day, it's like you're hungover, especially when they're loud. A hungover feeling. You don't get that when you're toned in 4-3-2. Like I said, I have a friend who's in a rock band, and you know, it's, you know, singing Friday, Saturday night. He was wiped out Sunday. In 4-3-2, you don't have those problems. I had another friend who was touring with his girlfriend in China, and they said they were doing some experiments, and they said very interesting, but in 440, he said, maximum we can do is 2-3 nights a week singing. Vocal cords, they needed a rest. He goes in 4-3-2, they can go 6-7 days a week. So I don't care what the science is. What does that tell you? Answers are in plain sight.
Yeah.
Right? You know, that's the way I look at things. So that tells you a lot. And also that same guy was playing in a band, a bar up here that had fights every single time there's a band there, they have fights. And first time they went to play there in 4-3-2, there was no fights that night. They were like in shock. Because you can see the body language of the people listening is different in 4-3-2. It's in a more relaxed state. You can actually see the difference. You can feel the difference. 4-3-2 is felt in the heart area. 440, you'll feel it in the head area. You know, I'm not talking about the sound, I'm talking about the feel of it. Musicians can hear the difference. It's a 8 hertz difference. But the feeling is felt in this area, you know, 4-3-2. That's the way I can sense it.
And it happened.
I'm not a trained musician.
Again, right?
Musicians, you know, they train their ears for years. So
it happened over and over for your friend, the musician, right? Like first time in the performing, no fights, and that happened again, right?
Yeah, they went again, then no fights again. So yeah, it's.
And now they only play 4-3-2, right? The whole band.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll still. I don't know why they would go anything. I haven't talked to them in years now, but it was interesting to see that.
And your sister singing opera, right? And
yeah, in 440, you know, she'd have to warm up the whole day to do an opera, and we you know, showed her about 4-3-2, and no problem, no warm-ups. The vocal cords have no problem. It's the same thing as the guys touring China, what they found and everything else. If you've ever went to a loud concert, you know what I'm talking about. It's like a hungover feeling in the next day. It's a really weird feeling because you're being bombarded with that dissonance.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have crowd control these sound devices, you know, they just, and everybody's just on the floor.
It's like a daisy chain. They just
years
assault you.
Yeah, it's assault.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, if you have, so before anyone understood 432, like you have let's just say you have a musician where you just have gorgeous harmonies by default. Like, say, for example, Simon and Garfunkel, right? Or Joni Mitchell. Like, choose your favorite musician, you know. It's like there are all sorts of other things that are going on aside from whether, I mean, like, they didn't know what 432 was. They were producing in the studio.
You're
right?
talking about harmony with each other.
They were in harmony with each other, and it's like, and like they were geniuses, and they just created this They, you know, they were channeling.
Yeah, but yeah, that's harmony with each other, but not with the universe. There's a difference.
So like if you tune it into 432 and you're listening to Simon and Garfunkel, it's a subtle thing. It's not like you're radically changing the intention of their music. Like they had an intention, right? So I'm just wondering, because I don't quite understand, you know, because all these other factors would be involved with the
Yeah, but even
ultimately
though they're in harmony with each other, you're still listening to it. It's still a dissonance to our living organism. I don't think you're following what I'm saying. You're either in harmony with the universe and nature, or you're not. You can be in harmony with other people and be out of harmony with nature, and that's what the music industry is. The whole music industry is set up for 440. Right? They made the international standard. I think it was in the 1950s. So they said that so all musicians from all around the world can play together in harmony, right? So why did they choose 432? Why did they choose 440? Well, there's many speculations of why they chose 440, and it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, it's in dissonance. No matter how much harmony you are with your fellow bandmates, you're not in harmony with the nature and universe, and that's that bottom line of it.
So like, okay, let's take Joni Mitchell since she's Canadian. It's like so Joni Mitchell produced, you know, 5 or 10 gorgeous albums, and you know, they happen to be in 440, but you can't say that they're not heart-centered. So like that's what I don't understand. I mean, they affect people at the heart level.
Was Bob Marley 432? No, he was playing 440.
I don't know.
Yeah, but there's so much music.
There's
music.
like Jimi Hendrix. They say he was tuned down somewhere in and around 432.
Wow.
I don't know if it's have to.
That's awesome.
Maybe Bob Marley. There's a few, but the music industry. There was a friend of ours. She had made a song, and she wanted to put it on the radio, and she sent it to England in 432. And they said, please put it in the proper tuning. They wouldn't even look at it.
That's all for the years. But John, you could listen to all that music you like just in 432 and see how you feel.
There's apps.
It doesn't if you're not a musician, you won't probably hear the difference, but maybe you'll feel it.
No, I've listened to it. No, I don't even doubt it. It's just that I'm just wondering about how people
energies.
You know, before it was understood, you know, if people instinctively got it close to 432, like Jimi Hendrix, I don't think it was understood in his time.
He went by the feel. If you look at ancient instruments,
yeah,
they're mysteriously tuned to 432.
Yeah, so the musician has an instinct for it. So if you have a musician who's a genius or a master, like Jimi Hendrix, it's like maybe they instinctually were able to get to that one way or the other.
Yeah, they were tapped in.
Yeah, they were tapped into it.
If you look at the, I think it's the Tibetan ringing, the bowls, you know, the bowls, the ringing bowls. If you look at the original ones, they're all 432.
Yeah, and the other day, maybe a year or two ago, I watched a video on YouTube about it was a call for prayer. And it was actually tuned, they were studying it, and it was tuned in 432 as well, which is very interesting. The way they call for prayer is 432 until today. It's been always like that, which is really nice. It's very interesting.
A lot of these guru yogis. Some of them are when they go into the it's right in 432.
And also the old music, right? The classic music. A lot of it.
Yeah, depends how old you go. The standards, we don't have all the details, but it doesn't matter.
It's pretty low.
Once they made the international standard, everything changed and then the music, the industry that created instruments and so on and so forth, they created the instruments in 432, 440, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, years ago when we were researching this in the late 2000s, it was tough to find any programs and so on and so forth to tune in 432 and make your music in 432, like all the music software and so on and so forth. Very difficult, challenging to find anything to do that. You'd have to be creative to make it work. So it was purposely, being kept from able to go down that low at 432. Even the simple tuners, a lot of them wouldn't go down to 432. Now you're finding a lot more because more and more people were, asking and demanding that kind of stuff. So some companies have to make them. But yeah, these simple things. Tune by ear.
Kurt is saying, I think they organize drums in a sacred geometry as well. So maybe it has to do with also the geometry, right? The way they design them.
Yeah, well, Fibonacci is a geometric. It's mathematical, but it's geometric. The way it manifests.
Mm-hmm.
So they make guitar tuners. You're saying that tune at 432.
Yeah, you can find them now. And then there's online tuners.
Yeah.
They go down to 432.
I just like listening to birds now.
They're 432.
Automatically 432.
They must be.
Just go in nature. Why does it
Sound of water?
In nature, listening to the water and listening to the birds and so on. So it's all tuned in 432. That's why everybody feels good in nature. Everybody.
Yeah.
Go to whatever concert, and believe me, you're not going to feel great the next day. You're going to be put through stress. No matter how much you enjoyed it, you're going to be put through stress. So, best thing is listen to whatever you can in 432. There's many ways you can do it in real time now with players and so on and so forth available. I've posted them. There's instructions on how to do it on any phone or any computer. So you can play anything in 432 in real time without having to change your whole library of music.
Hey, I got another question about, we were talking about enemas. Like, I think you guys are not, I think you mentioned or you responded negatively towards a certain position. Like if Steve might know what a child's pose is in yoga, or you guys might all know. Like when you're on your knees and your rump is higher than like the rest of your small intestine and it's higher than your heart. Is that a, huh?
That's the way I do enemas.
That's the thing. Like you kneel and then you bring your chest and your head down to the floor and like use a pillow. And that's how you do it? Okay, because I thought somehow I thought that
you allow the gravity to assist you, right?
Yeah, so it goes further up.
Yeah, some people will do it lying down. A better way would be lying on your right side. If you see how the way the colon is, it goes up on the left, then goes across, then down. So if you lie on your right side, it would be easier that way. But in the child's pose, that's easiest way I do it for myself. On your knees, raise your butt in the way you put your head down.
Yeah. Yeah, because like a lot of times, like I saw some videos where they're telling you to lie on your left side, but that doesn't make sense.
Just use your common sense. Look at the design of the colon.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, good, because I like the child's pose myself.
How is Kurt doing? Kurt, if you can talk.
I'm just listening.
Yeah.
I could share, but it's not really of value.
Why do you think?
Always value. Always.
Always.
That's not true.
Always.
Always.
Okay.
Don't say
Well, it maybe won't be inspiring.
Don't be so sure.
Yeah. We are inspired by everybody. Absolutely everybody.
I liked Hans Peter's message last week, though, to Brittany. I identify a lot with that. About figuring out for yourself. You know, I can come here and talk about it, but
experience.
I got to figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yeah.
You know, maybe to clear your mind a little bit, take a pen and paper and write the pros and cons of the options that you have in front of you, and just go with that, just to make it easier. But you will have to allow your experience to guide you. This is just to start you, you know, and then slowly you get the feedback and you adjust.
Yeah. You have to ask, what's holding us back?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. It's complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated, but you gotta ask the questions.
Oh yeah.
What do you think holds most people back?
Emotion.
It's okay.
It's definitely.
And how do you deal with emotion?
Most people don't.
Right.
But if you want to, how do you do it? You just have to, you know, I guess moment by moment. Just build your routine. It's about building your discipline and your routine. And
we've talked about it a few calls ago about how do you nourish your emotion instead of using food. You know, I made a post today and some people were posting some good stuff. And you have to find something that you do or whatever that's going to nourish you so you don't keep those other thoughts active, the ones that are going to draw you down. So, you know, the hobby, meditation, walk in the woods, whatever, being with your dog, playing with your dog. Well, there's endless things you can do. For some people, maybe preparing a meal for their family and they get in a wonderful state and they feel nourished. They don't have to eat. You know, many examples of that people have shared.
I think for many of us as well, I feel we get lost. We're lost a little bit in the big picture, you know. Many of us really are not living the way we want to live.
Purpose.
Like in general, yeah. Am I like, how do you see yourself living the best life and how do you get there, you know? Maybe also identify these a little bit, you know, it's not going to be 100%. And even if you find something that you really get excited about and you love, you're passionate about, even when you find it, you still have to, you know, maybe 5 years down the road, you change a little bit. So allow room for things to change. It's not like you're going to know the truth completely 100% because it's really hard, you know, it's not like you're gonna know your future. It's impossible, you know. Like there's a higher power, I call it God, There's a higher power that knows better what's best for you. So you have to always be patient. You will never know everything. You'll never be able to control everything. So you'll still always have to be patient. So allow room for that, but be strong and be determined. We don't want to be confused. You want to have the faith, and we don't want to be confused, because I think that's the worst place to be when we are confused. I become paralyzed when I'm confused, because I cannot move forward. I like to know a little bit, not too much.
There's something that brings me back, right? Because a lot of people, they fall off and you don't hear from them, and then they come back when they're ready to fast again. Yeah. And I just thought, you know what, I want to stay. There's something that still brings me back, and I want to be aware and listen instead of just running away and hiding.
That's a great.
What are you running from?
Many things.
If I would, what do you mean? Like, because I'm not fasting in that and eating clean?
Well, you withdrawn. She didn't just withdraw from here. You withdrawn from everything, I would assume.
I've also stepped forward in other areas of my life where I wasn't necessarily when I was fasting. So the ultimate goal would be to find balance with all of it. I think probably one reason it was a struggle, I was disciplined. I did level 2. I stuck to it probably 90-95%.
For how long?
But there was something that I wasn't living and loving it. It was a struggle, there's something that brought me to it, but it was like, okay, if this is a struggle, why am I doing it? But it's a weird thing where I don't want to have to force it, but there's something that calls me to it. So
why don't you sit down and write the pros and cons of anything that you want, whether it's a level or whatever it is. Write the pros and cons for whatever you choose, and your options. What are your options? Write them down to clear your mind, because sometimes it can be too much. Just write it down, and this will help. This maybe can help you choose. And it's not going to be your choice. It's not going to be 100%. As I said, always allow room for flexibility. It's not like it's not black or white. This is how we all do it. I mean, this is how I do it.
Hey, Kurt,
you were stirring things up. That's what I would think. Even at level 2, you were having great.
Oh yeah, it was very challenging. And,
probably backed off from, honestly, probably fear.
Yeah.
I mean, do you suggest that he does a little bit longer fast, maybe, just to get into
every once in a while, it's good to throw in a 3-4 day, to open up a little more. But
no, I mean like a longer master class. What do you mean 3-4 day master class?
Yeah, during the week.
Yeah, I mean you can up your level. Or
how do you keep busy throughout the whole day, Kurt?
Well, it's changed now, which is good, because before I was sitting around doing nothing, and that's probably why I was miserable. I wasn't moving enough. I would do some yoga, but like you talk about with the lymph system needing movement, I wasn't studying or working. And I almost like, now that I fell off a few months ago, I've taken steps to at least implement those things in my life. So that's probably what'll stabilize me if I get back on. Because now it's like, okay, I'm numbed out and can kind of function again in some ways, where I would have good moments when I was fasting, but they were overshadowed where I was so imbalanced, like doing simple tasks were a struggle just for my psyche, just being very I don't know.
Are you working or
no.
Yeah.
I've taken a course now, so that takes at least 3 to 5 hours a day at minimum. So that's been good.
Nice.
Yeah.
We gotta have a purpose. We gotta have
a plan, a dream,
sense of accomplishment. At the end of the week.
And a dream.
Yeah,
I mean, you're living for your dreams.
Because the people that we've seen that have the biggest challenges are most people that are not working and not doing anything in life. They just want to get better, but there's nothing they're moving towards or for. They don't have something that they love to do, and so on and so forth. So that's the number one thing that you have to ask yourself is, you know, keep asking the question of what's my purpose here? What do I love to do? And continue to ask these questions. And eventually you're going to start getting answers. And then you start moving in that direction. You started a course. That's good news. That means there's something that inspired you to start doing this course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It felt way better.
Yeah. So
way better doing that. Yeah.
And expand.
Proactive in your life.
What's that?
You're becoming proactive in your life.
Right.
Right. And like I said, I want to have some sort of a foundation in my life, because it's like, what good is it if I'm fasting if I can't support myself, you know? It's like, that's, my priorities are out of whack. I need to create some sort of a foundation. Well, yeah, like Maslow's needs, he talks about, you know, you need safety, security, and whatnot, and no sense going for higher, you know, goals. So I think I had my priorities out of whack, where I just thought, okay, I can sit here and fast and I'm doing good, but it's like, okay, I'm not taking action in other areas, and just felt terrible. So
yeah,
I'm not necessarily against fasting now, but it's like, I want to be able to take care of those needs, you know what I mean? To have a life where I can fast, you know? I don't know if that makes sense.
You gotta have a purpose.
You're on the right path, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I want to do what's best, and for on all levels. And I don't know what that is right now in terms of food. I would say the eating has at least numbed me to the point where I can at least take action in certain areas, but I feel terrible physically, you know?
Yeah.
The eating thing, the whole putting ourselves in a numbed out state, it masks what's really happening in our life. People use food, they use alcohol, they use drugs, they'll use sex, or they'll use whatever. These are, you know, states that pull us away from reality of what's the real issues going on. And people use these things because they don't want to face what we call the mirrors, you know, the mirrors of truth. And it's difficult for a lot of us to face these mirrors because they run very, very deep. You know, there's ancestral stuff in these mirrors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So once we come to that understanding in terms of what it's all about and our life purpose and so on and so forth, then we can start embracing all these things and letting them go one by one. And sometimes you're going to have to work on certain aspects of a single emotion over and over for several times before you finally, oh yeah, you feel relieved of that. And you won't see it come up anymore. But this is just part of the process. And if we're not willing to work for it, what are we going to gain? We're not going to gain anything. Anything worth doing is worth working for. So the more effort we put in something, the more accomplishment we'll feel after it's done, right? So these are all part of things that a lot of people aren't willing to face. Just look at our society, what's happening. Mm-hmm. It's you know, it's very interesting. Everybody's you know, got masks on because they're afraid of the invisible boogeyman, and they're waiting for some miracle vaccine that you know, it's not going to do anything anyway, because they've had vaccines for everything else and there's still problems. So vaccines don't work, in my opinion, and they can cause all kinds of other issues. We won't go into that. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm anti-force people to do anything against their free will. Everybody has to have a choice, and that's the way it has to be. You know, we're moving into an era of slavery. So if people want to get a vaccine, go line up. I won't be there.
So yeah. Going back to Kurt, I totally believe it's very important for us to become disciplined and build our routines. For me, at least, that's how You know, I usually do best when I have a routine. And you know, become at the beginning it's hard. Okay, so if you're finding it difficult at this point, yeah, it's normal. As I said, always give it, you know, a few weeks before you feel, then, you know, before you feel okay, now I feel great and I just feel like I'm in a great shape, and I just continue. And as you go further, you feel much better, and it becomes much easier as well to fast and eat. And do your best with the food as well, because the more obstructive the food, the more hungry you will be, for sure, the more cravings you will have. So there's no way around it. You cannot, if you cheat, just be prepared that tomorrow is going to be a tough one for you to start eating clean again. It's just like that. Even if you do raw foods and you fall off, and you, let's say you eat grains, you get off raw foods. The day after that, it's harder to get into the raw foods. You're not, you know, the fruits and vegetables are not going to look as appealing, because your cravings are for more obstructive foods. And same thing with fasting. So it's, you know, just be prepared. You know, it's part of the journey. We all go through it. If I eat heavy food today, I guarantee you tomorrow is gonna be tough for me to fast. Very, you know, if I do it for a few days in a row, then it's gonna be even tougher. Yeah. And we all, I'm sure everybody can say this is true. You know, I've done it many times.
The more challenges you have, the more the rewards.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be as challenging as you go further. It really is much easier. The control is much easier. You don't have to be disciplined so much, because it's just second nature. But at the beginning, you'd have to build that discipline. It's just like exercise, you know. At the beginning, it's hard, just like any other routine that you build, or you quit smoking or something. I believe it's the same thing. It's a change, you know. Most of us, you know, are comfortable with where we were. If I eat for a week every day, I get comfortable quickly with that, and so I will want to keep eating. I want to keep delaying the fast. You know.
Excuse me, guys. I just need to break in for a moment to tell you that, yeah, I was really strong all week. I was actually inspired by trying to inspire Brittany, and it helped me be strong. And, you know, and I'm so with you, and I so love you guys. But right now I'm praying with a friend of mine. Her daughter's in the hospital. So that's how come I'm not with you right now. But love you guys, and I'm here, and I've done well, and I'm inspired, and I so appreciate you. You're such a power couple, right? And everyone else here, thank you. I thank everybody.
We're all here for each other, and you know, it's there's challenges all the time in life, and you know, we're all gonna, you know, get through them and come out stronger. It's just the way it is. The way it is.
Yeah.
Hey, Kurt, just real quick, like something that I do that is really simple but effective is I always like stay close to inspiration in regards to fasting, like whether it's like watching the Zoom channel, you know, our own channel here, like tomorrow morning I'll wake up and I'll watch parts of it, and then or I'll read Professor Arrett books, like even just a little bit, like I'll take the book and I'll read like a page, and that's all it takes for me to get my mindset proper to like stay focused. And I do it all the time, because otherwise I just have such a short memory, and you know, forget about what I'm trying to do. So it's always good to have some inspirational writing around, or like some videos that inspire you, and watch them all the time. Like like, even if it's this 5 or 10 minutes a day, like, I find that very helpful. As soon as I read something, I'll just be like, okay, you know, that's what I'm doing today. And it's very effective for me because I have such a short memory.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have a short memory too. He has a long memory with his 31 years.
I just think it's, for me, it's about learning to deal with the emotion. It's nothing is physical or like, I don't think of it that way.
Yeah, but we all have emotional imbalances to variable degrees.
Yeah, I'm very imbalanced.
Right. It will make you stronger when you come out. I mean, it makes your whole journey.
You have to allow yourself to feel it. For men, that's very difficult. For me, it's been very difficult. I wasn't raised on it. As a man, I wasn't raised on it.
I know. I feel like it's a 24/7, especially. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm coming across like a victim, but it's just, that's the way it is. I feel a lot of emotion all the time. It's the opposite for me. And like I said, I'm just trying to do the best I can in my life, and I want to move forward. And if I can't do that at this moment with fasting thing, then I got to put it. I don't know. You know, I don't think it was from a lack of trying. I think I tried too hard. I was doing it more in the head, and you know, as opposed to like an allowing. You know.
What do you think is it that bothers you the most?
Just in general.
Yeah, like to make you like.
I think family dynamics. I think that's a big mirror. I think those need to shift maybe in order to stay open and stay aware. You know.
You're close to your mom, right?
Yeah, too close.
Yeah, that's great. Too close.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't want to get too into it here, but I'm okay with sharing, but I don't want to. It's just, yeah, I think the family stuff, that's where it's like, it's not like I'm eating again because I, you know, was lacking, you know, and nutritionally, or think going down that road. It was just something gave way. I had one bowl of quinoa 3 months ago, and then it was a spiral down from there, you know. The emotion took over, and it's like, okay, clearly something wasn't being dealt with on those 4 months of master fast for me, because the moment I put the food in, I lost all control.
Oh,
so I don't think I clearly learned the lesson.
No, but the thing is, you know, we do 108 days and it's easy to lose control. So it's not like.
But I don't think the food, like, I get it, there's the addictive component, but I think if one person has overeats and 3 months later they're eating complete junk again, and another person overeats and they may feel that addictive impulse, but they're not as emotionally overwhelmed to the point they lose everything. You know what I'm saying? Do you get my point?
Yeah, but many people felt like they felt you know, really bad actually.
I'm just saying, take two people, right? They're both on the same level. They both eat the same food. That's probably not ideal. And one spirals out more than the other. I don't know if you can just blame it on the food. Maybe it's the emotional makeup of that person.
100%. I mean, nobody is exactly the same the way we broke our fast. Nobody is. But I tell you one thing is that we were all changed. If somebody tells me they were not changed, I'm sorry. It is hard.
Oh yeah, it's just I'm talking degrees, you know.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. For me, it was hard.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do long fast no more. Unless it's maybe I wouldn't mind doing long dry fasts, but I like to keep the food part of my lifestyle until I am ready, if I want to ever give it up.
Like, what do you think of people who are more prone to, say, fasting and binging as opposed to fasting and clean eating?
That's most horrible. People probably.
It's horrible.
Right. And that's where it's like with me, it's like the 2 times I've fallen off. I did clean on the raw. That wasn't a lot of fasting, but the 2 times I've kind of fallen off, it's been something takes over. So
yeah, well,
the addiction.
It's the same thing. We all go through it.
So
it's really hard.
So you think it's the food, Steve?
Well, all the food is addictive, right? All of it. See, I can only relate it to what my addictions were. So for my challenges personally are, there's no in between with the drugs and alcohol. I simply can't touch them. I'm either all in or I'm all out. Period. There's no in between. So it's been making my transition from fasting to eating that much more difficult for me, because I've trained myself to be either all or nothing.
Yeah.
So how
but
with an addictive substance, the only true healing from it is total abstinence.
Is to what?
Total abstinence.
I know, but that's a hard thing in a world of eating, exactly. Right?
So how do you do that?
Okay.
And we all agree that food's addictive.
Now the thing
the
about
variable degrees, though.
The variable degrees of addiction, the more obstructive, the more addictive.
Understood. But that you agree with me that first mouthful starts to trigger.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with a highly addictive personality, there are no degrees. It's all or nothing.
Yeah, and that's not a very healthy attitude, right?
No, but that is what it is.
I mean,
and that's where I'm wondering if underlying that dynamic of all or nothing is an emotion. You see what I'm saying?
It could be.
Where the next person maybe isn't as susceptible.
I can probably relate to my experience with the drugs and alcohol and some other things, sex. I mean, they were all addictive. Totally.
Because there's one view from a teacher I've listened to, and it really resonates, is that when you've processed an emotion, we'll call it a negative emotion or an uncomfortable emotion, he says that your attachment to your addictions decreases because the foundation that they're built on isn't there anymore. You don't need to mask it. You see what I'm saying? If you feel an emotion and let it
reintroduce that thing that's addictive.
Right, but it won't be
introduce alcohol into my life. Period. I can't do that.
Yeah.
It won't happen. I'll end up right where I was. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, you see, alcohol is different though, because it's not an essential thing for, it's different from food. Food, everybody does.
But the same processes go on in the brain.
Yeah, I know.
It's the same chemical reactions in the brain, so it's no different.
Yeah, I am so similar though, or I was similar, and I think it's just an addictive personality, And I say I am similar. Yes, I didn't. I don't think I was like. I was not anywhere near where you were with the drugs and alcohol, but with the food, I did 100% experience it. After every long fast, it was an all or nothing. And if I break my fast without planning it, that's horrible. That's even worse, because I feel like I failed. I went into I gave into whatever, maybe something that bothered me, and I ate.
You and Steve are on a similar level, right? About level 5.
Yeah, but I actually the past few weeks were for me I took off here and there. Yeah, they were challenging. I don't know.
But for a while you were doing that.
Yeah.
For over 100 days. The last one, which was maybe I think in April, I kind of started, on and off, and I did another 21 days where I did again 5 days a week of master fast, and it felt again amazing. I quickly, thank God, got back on it, so it felt like I didn't really break it. But now it's been a few weeks now where there were more eating days than fasting days.
Yeah.
And it's okay, it's okay. I know the path. It's just I have to start. And the problem is when you take a few weeks break, you will need a few weeks of discipline to get back on. Because Monday is always a tough day to get back on the fast. There's always temptation. Oh, I'll eat today and I'll start next week.
Do you feel good do you enjoy your food when you do eat?
Yeah, it depends on the food again. You're like, oh God, there's so much to it, I have been, I have so much in my head, about what's the best way to live. That's another thing. Like I'm thinking I want to eat food only from the garden, but I have some stuff that I bought, and like wild rice, maybe chickpeas or something. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll finish these and then I will not buy them again. Okay. Yeah, but
that's part of the addiction, the bargaining.
But
absolutely, it's textbook. It's freaking textbook.
I do want to finish them. I haven't been. I didn't go shopping this weekend because I just want to eat whatever I have and from the garden. Whatever, but I don't have so much from the garden right now. The tomatoes are not ready. Cucumbers, a few here. I ate one today, but it's not enough. To make a meal. But I am happy that I feel like it's perfect path for me, because my plan is to finish the food that I have sitting in the cupboards, which is not the most ideal food. The most ideal would be fruits and vegetables for me. But I feel like it's okay. I'll give it a few months where I eat only 2 days a week, so I still feel amazing fasting 5 days a week, master fast. And 2 days a week eating within 3 hours, so I have to be gentle with myself. I'm not gonna make it black or white. I'm gonna be gentle. Today I ate, tomorrow I'll eat. I fasted Thursday, Friday. I felt good. Today I fasted and then I ate, and then tomorrow I'll do the same thing. I'm eating fruits. Today I ate berries. Our friend gave us some mangoes, so we ate some mangoes today, a little bit, not much. And then I had berries from outside. And then I had, what did we have? There's a zucchini, 2 zucchinis. I made a tomato sauce from sun-dried tomatoes. I don't like sun-dried tomatoes. I don't know how to cook them. I wanted to make a tomato sauce, so I watched a recipe on YouTube, and I made a tomato sauce, very simple, from the sun-dried tomatoes. But at least I didn't go shopping. So I stuck to my plan. I'm finishing the food that I have. I'm happy about that. And if I overate, it's okay. It's just zucchini and tomatoes. So no big deal. I know it's not gonna make me feel horrible. Yeah. So I'm happy about it. I'm not gonna be too crazy. I'm happy Saturday and Sunday go like this, and then Monday, get back on track. And maybe to help me, I will drink more juice to get back on track and flush my bowels, because that's where the addiction is. It's in the obstructions.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is like you don't feel the pain, but you don't feel the good feelings either when you're numb,
Exactly.
You don't feel anything.
Numbs everything.
It's more of like a heady interaction.
Yeah, and there's so much on my head as well. I mean, with everything that's going on, honestly, outside, I am sure many people are like, okay, what's happening?
You can feel it.
The other day I wake up and I asked, I watched a video, and I kind of got depressed, because it's like, if it's true, then it's kind of depressing, because you have to make huge changes in your life. And the first thing I asked Gino was like, Gino, what do you think is happening to the world? And Gino didn't talk, didn't say anything. So I was like confused, And then now we have a friend who came and we discussed as well. He's like-minded, and it's just, I felt great again. But it's ups and downs, honestly, with like, what is going on and what is the best way to live our lives. I love to be self-sustained at some point, with my food and even my juice,
They have us trapped. That's the problem. They have us trapped. We're stuck.
But there's a way.
I couldn't come up with the term, but somebody said it last week. It's like perfect. we're trapped.
But you know, we're not slaves. There is a way.
Oh, but we're not slaves, but we are trapped in place.
We are trapped, no question about it. But there is a way.
It's designed to entrap.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know what? There is a way, and it's gonna be very different. Maybe, I mean, we will have to sit down, and maybe everything that I plan. And this is the thing. I mean, also, I cannot talk to Gino. Gino doesn't like to talk about these things, you know, which makes it very hard for me. He doesn't know how to talk about it. And so
about what?
You know, about our life in general and what's happening outside. So like different options. Everybody's different. So everybody will have different options. And the pros and cons and what's the best way to do things. And my business right now, you know, I moved from, I'm moving my business from downtown, so I closed it since March, the middle of March, and I'm, you know, building the new place, or working on the new place. So that's again many questions, you know, and I, you know, there's just so much happening in my head, and I don't want to be confused. I don't like to be confused. I'm sure nobody does. It's such a, like, that's enslavement. When I feel confused, listen, if I'm put in jail and I don't feel confused, my faith is strong, I'm happy. But if I am free and I feel confused, I feel in jail. Like, really, that's the worst place, I would say, confusion. So you know, right now I'm like kind of writing down my options, our options, and seeing what's best, you know, the pros and cons to different options, and choosing, you know. Now, is my choice going to be, and this applies to everything in life, to any project, is my choice going to be the right choice? Nobody knows. Nobody, I don't know. And I have to give that as well room, right? But at least I am working with my heart, you know, with everything I know and my heart, towards the path that I believe is best. And that's more than enough for me. I don't need to know everything. Nobody knows everything. Nobody knows when we're gonna die, and you know what's going to happen to the world maybe 6 months from now. What you know, what is it gonna be like, or a year from now, or 2 years from now, with the big changes that are happening. So this whole uncertainty thing, from, you know, maybe for the first time, and it's nice too. I like it actually in a way, because these are things, my goals have been my goals for like maybe for a while, right? It's not like something that happened now, but this is helping us be the change that we want to see, for God's sake, because it's about time, you know, be the change that we want to see. So just speed up the things that we want to do, the changes that we want to implement. And for that, I am definitely grateful, because before it didn't happen. And actually many things are happening at a perfect timing. Like my contract with my business, the rental finished in April, 5-year contract. 2 years ago, I wouldn't be in a good place to shut down, because I have to pay rent. So yeah, so it's absolutely beautiful how it happened. Absolutely beautiful. So confusing a little bit sometimes, but you just have to, I guess everything is, there's a challenge, and to start new things, you know. But once you have changed, life can be much nicer, you know, than before. But at the beginning, managed to change.
I wanted to ask Kurt if, you know, like when you're young, it's like, it's really good to have an intensive kind of athletics going on. Like if you're having trouble with, you know, you're living in your head and you're not working, and you're having trouble with like binge eating and stuff like that, it's really good to have like an intensive sort of physical thing, like contact sports, or like weightlifting or whatever it is that attracts you, like that sort of thing really gets you out of your head. And yoga is a wonderful practice. And, you know, if you do some light yoga and everything, that's wonderful, but it's hard to, I found, like when I was younger in my 20s and 30s and 40s, you know, to be in not extreme sports, but, you know, intensive athletic training, like whether it's biking or mountain climbing or like hiking, that sort of thing is really good. It's really balancing. So like, even if you tend to do binging, or, you know, you're swinging with fasting and binging and like living in your head, that kind of thing can really bring you a lot of balance. And then you only have,
I've just started again with that, getting some physical activity.
Yeah.
I used to skateboard a lot, and I went out today, and talk about contact. I had contact with the ground.
You did?
I probably won't be walking properly for 2 weeks, but
oh yeah,
it was great to connect with old friends. But yeah, the thing is it's like I need to do what I'm doing now while fasting, because I didn't have those things while I was fasting, and it's maybe that's the blessing. What's that?
It sounds like your problem is you just stagnated. Stagnation is death.
The problem is I was stagnant, or I am.
You were.
I was, and it's weird because
you were fasting. You were in a stagnant.
Exactly. I was aware.
So you were,
but I wasn't.
What you were doing was in conflict.
I was resisting, and it almost took me, you know, whatever you want to call it, relapse, falling off, in order to take those actions, because it's still, I knew that. I was like, okay, how is this supposed to be smooth if you're sitting around not doing anything, not moving, and expect, you know what I mean?
Learning curve, that's all it is. It's not falling off.
Yeah, because there's something bringing me back. It's like there's a soul calling. I know the feeling of why I got into this journey, mostly for like a spiritual reason. But it's just wanting to be balanced while applying it, you know.
Sometimes it's good, like if you're coming from the angle of getting your whole life sorted out by means of food, you know, I'm just saying, like, sometimes I'm that way, and sometimes my friends are, where they relate everything to food and like how they're eating. But sometimes it's better to take a second angle and you say, okay, I'm going to put a lot of energy into training harder in athletics, and then that balance
exactly
helps you because it's a different angle and you're not using your head so much. Then that balance like flows over into your ability to do fasting and to do the other things, the spiritual things you want to do. And you know, it's like it's the whole picture. It's not coming from it from one angle. It's you attack the problem from various angles, and then that brings you balance, and then you're able to do things easier because like that part of your life is satisfied. You know
exactly
what I mean?
I agree. I think of it like overlapping circles. What do you call those?
Concentric.
Yeah, I think of like a human being 5 or 6 or more or less of things that are important or create a healthy, balanced person, right? And it's about attending to those equally to the best of your ability, right?
Yeah, because like you sleep better, you just sleep better. So like even if you're eating crappy food, if you're really pushing it in the athletic world, you're going to sleep better, you're going to feel better about yourself, and it's a very natural way to go about it. And then the food thing and the fasting, you're going to find a balance with it, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm realizing. Another thing too that's huge, and I want to it's hard to stay disciplined to it, but it's one of the most powerful things is breath work. That brings me into my body and balances emotions like no other. And I don't know why I don't do it enough. There's like a voice that I think if you're not aware of can kind of prevent you from doing it. But have you explored that, John?
Well, I mean, I sort of my whole life I'm pretty much like a distance athlete, so like breath work definitely has something to do with, you know, riding and running and stuff. So yeah, I mean, like that's what I mean. It's like when you're really intensively, you know, I've experimented with some of the you know, like what's his name, Iceman, like his breath work, and I've done that throughout my life. And then like fire breathing and Kundalini yoga, that stuff is awesome. And but then it's also good to like, you know, wrestle or like do stuff that's really physically like kind of like resistance training and like really tough, like tougher stuff that's not like all based on these real subtle energies and like this language, the language that revolves around that stuff. You know, it's good to just go out and like, you know, fall off your skateboard and get road rash and like get beat up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, what kind of breath work are you trying? Are you using?
It was from like an emotional processing book. I don't know what I don't think there's a specific, it's just connected breathing. It's through the nose, similar to the Buteyko, where you don't pause. It's just in and out through the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Brown's The Presence Process, that's what it's from. It's no particular type though.
Yeah, because sometimes like what I find is that, you know, in the new age world, you know, there's a lot of stuff, like things become precious, and where, you know, you have a lot of dancing around, and I'd, I like that stuff. I do chanting myself. You know, I do Buddhist chanting. That's just my standard. But you know, a lot of it has to, in my book, has to do with the language that's being used. And so I think you get my point, though. It's like sometimes it's better just to do something a little more on the wild side, where you're not analyzing everything, and, you know, like go like, I don't know, like just use your imagination, like go climbing trees, or like splitting wood is one of my favorite all-time things to do in this life. It's like, you know what I mean? You're splitting wood. You're not thinking about your breath. You're not thinking about your diet. You're just splitting wood, you know, or swimming. You know, swimming is a way to really get super grounded, because you're just doing something that's so like primal, you know.
One day at a time, Kurt.
Yeah, man, just
only,
cut yourself some slack.
only work with now. Embrace everything that comes. There's going to be days that are going to be more challenging than others. It's all okay. Just come to those terms and you'll move through them and you'll see they will be okay. And the next day comes and it'll be a little better than the other day, and so on and so forth. You're going to have more challenging days and less challenging days and days that are freaking amazing. So, um, can't beat ourselves up. It is what it is. I've come across.
So you think if you're following the protocol, the biggest challenge would be the mirrors of what's being
Emotions.
Yeah.
The physical stuff is not the challenging stuff, Kurt. Come on. You drink your juice, wash your colon, do your breath work, this, that, whatever.
I agree.
It's easy, that stuff, really. It's simple.
It's just I struggle with, okay, how do I move through this? But am I capable? That's the tricky part.
Of course you're capable.
Because it's very intense.
And then the stuff starts coming to the surface and all the monkey mind things come into play, all these crazy thoughts that we have. So we have to learn how to play that and make our way through that. And that's it. You just, the more we consciously are aware of all that, the more we catch ourselves being able to move through these difficult situations. It's just practice. Just like you go up to bat, the first time, you may not hit it. After you've done it for weeks on end, you're going to be getting very good. So are you going to hit it every time? No. But you're going to get better, right? Yep. So just come to the terms that day by day, and all of it is part of the process. No matter what anybody tells you, blah, 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 it's all part of the process, and it's all for a reason, because everything's exactly the way it's supposed to be. We all have...
Can I add my 2 cents?
Of course.
I totally get where you're coming from, Kurt, because I spent the first 35 years of my life just like stuffing my emotions, not expressing them at all, and not understanding why that was important. And I went about this backwards, where I started with a 108, and then I actually broke it, ended it. It was a year ago now, in 2 days. So in the last year, I've been doing the levels, and I can't tell you how many times I've fallen off and how many times I've had false starts, just sometimes weekly almost, it's a constant battle. But I think, to my credit, I never stopped trying. I at least, if I false started, okay, well, let me try again tomorrow. Well, tomorrow, another false start. Well, I'll try again tomorrow, So even though I totally get where you're coming from and, why these things are difficult, I think just keep trying, to put off the fasting. Say, I'll do it when I'm ready. I don't think, there's never going to be the perfect time. So I think as long as you keep trying, and if it ends up turning into a hybrid day, so be it, no big deal. You just keep going. It's been a year now, and this week of my fasting was the first time that I didn't have a false start, and that I haven't had cravings or worried about cooking dinner or something for my kids. So that took a year of being on level 4 to 7 every week, and this is the first time in a year where I didn't have a false start, and I didn't get into a craving or even have a craving. So you know, it'll happen. It's going to take time. And I think the emotion thing is, I see that more clearly every week. And it's just a journey of self-love. You have to be patient with yourself. Yeah.
Are we on?
We're on.
Okay. It's like,
I'm just
what's going
processing.
Silence is good.
I don't
Yeah.
have anything to say, which I guess is a good thing. But.
Yeah, it's like a faith. It's like faith too. Like with faith, you know, you could just take any religion and say, okay, I'm gonna choose this religion. And you have to create it. It's like it doesn't just exist. It doesn't exist out there somewhere in objective reality. You have to like, so say you like choose Buddhism or Muslim or Christianity or anything, Rastafarianism. You have to create it and like seize it and make it your own. And then you have to build on it. And it's like why Gina's always talking about the belief system, because it's only, you know, you have to experience it and then it just grows. So like you could take any religion and just say, okay, from now on until I die, I'm going to be this religion. And the power, the value of it and the power comes from you like cultivating it. You know, so there's a certain kind of artificiality to, you know, seizing it and saying, this is what I'm going to do for now. You know what I mean? And it's like, the element of like cultivating it is where the value is. So that's how I see it as a faith-based thing. Like, if you have an instinct that fasting is something you definitely need, then you have to make it part of your faith, and you have to continually work at it to develop your faith, you know?
Yeah,
Huh?
without any faith.
What?
I don't think anybody's going to do without any faith. You got to have some faith in what you're doing for sure.
Do you think it's important to adjust your lifestyles to support a fasting lifestyle or a cleaner lifestyle?
What do you mean?
Well, family things or where you're, who you associate with, where you live. I don't know, a variety of things.
For some people, yeah, it would definitely be beneficial for them to change everything in that sense. There's situations I've seen that people, basically family members or whatever, basically force the person to go to the medical route, and they're no longer here anymore. It was just too overwhelming for them to fight back and to allow themselves to go through what they wanted to do. They just let it, you know, surrender to the pressure from the family. So not a good place to be for a situation like that. Somebody in that state of mind that just doesn't have that, you know, maybe the proper words to say, listen, this is my belief system. You got to leave me alone. You support me or fuck off.
I'm sure most people that don't do this probably don't support it though. Yeah. Most people.
Nobody supports it.
And that's what, that's not necessarily.
That's for sure.
You need to stand your ground.
I mean, I love what John mentioned, that it's like a religion. Sure, I mean, religion shouldn't be a bad word at all, because it's an art, really. And you present a religion to a group of people, and not everybody is religious. And by religious, I mean spiritual, and love, and feels the faith. You know, it's an art and it's a practice that definitely requires discipline. You have to, you want to make time for it. You want to make time for whatever, maybe meditation, prayer, and it becomes, of course, and it's part of your lifestyle. Like when you are spiritual, every religion will teach you to be an honest person, to avoid gossiping, to do this. So it's about it's about the truth, and coming closer to the truth, which we all know really in our hearts. But you make an effort towards it. You're not just lying because everybody's lying, or not taking care of your health because people around you are not taking care of their health. It's all really part of, every religion would teach you to be responsible for yourself, really. I mean, if you really want to think about it, I don't care what people are doing today. Like, we can't look at all the Muslims or all the Christians or all the Jews and say, judge, or Buddhists, and judge and say, oh, these guys are doing it wrong. We can't do that. I mean, I have done it many times, but it's really not the truth. In my heart, I know it's not the truth. The truth is to, are we connected, as individuals, and are we following our hearts really, which we feel in our hearts. The truth, we know it. Religions are just like guidelines. They shouldn't separate us at all. Well, they all teach us to be good people. And Master Fast also has its guidelines. That's why, we're strict for a reason, because there's experience behind it. And we don't want to see people, going on the wrong path, at least, so everybody, it's all guidelines, and they, yes, require discipline and faith. And you can completely fall in love with them, all of them, everything. You can fall in love with them, and that's what you want to do. You want to live it and love it, really, because if you don't, then you shouldn't be doing it, right? I think, I don't know, I believe. Yeah, it's an art, and it's let it flow, and don't, like, let's not be too strict, but flexible.
There has to be that fire inside to want to, feel better and better and better. If the numbed out feeling is okay for most people to be in that state.
Because it's an addiction. I mean, we feel it. We get humbled when we fall off the Master Fast lifestyle, because we feel what other people are feeling. So that's humbling, which is important.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You fall off, and then you're humbled to be back where you were. Like when you're growing up or whatever, it's humbling. It's like, oh man, I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah. So like, it helps you realize that this is how life is, and not to judge other people who are not on the same path, because you know what, you can fall off easily yourself and be in a numbed out state just like other people. So we cannot judge them. In fact, if anything, this process should help us understand each other more. Yeah, and I mean, which is a beautiful thing, being humble, and not to be proud of yourself. Sometimes maybe we're too proud, we're feeling amazing. And you're like, oh yeah, I know better. We're all on the same path.
Yeah, and it is an art too, because like if you look at a spiritual practice or a religion, even a fundamental religion that's like to the letter of the law, you know, whatever it is, they all have power, and you have to put your time in. You have to put the hours in. That's why it's an art, because it's like the actual time, and you know, you can't produce art if you don't put the time in.
Yeah, dedication.
So like when you're fasting, you just have to say to yourself, am I going to put the time in today or not?
Absolutely, John. You nailed it. You nailed it. It's like a religion, really, which I love. I love. I don't want to see a religion as a bad word. It's not. It's a spiritual.
No, it's religion is beautiful, but you're the one who makes it beautiful. You're the one who gives it the value. It's not set in stone.
100%.
You know.
And I don't care what other Muslims or Christians or this or that do. It shouldn't identify me. That's their life, and that's between them and God. And mine is mine, between me and God. You know, we should, you know, we shouldn't say, oh, all these people are bad people. We shouldn't say that. You know, we should.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, judging each other, which I think comes with religions sometimes, is not really godly. You know, we are all equal in the eyes of God, right? So we're learning. Everybody's learning. I'm learning for sure. So many things, and it's really beautiful. I mean, there are so many blessings that we can see. You know, even in the most challenging things in our lives, we can see beauty. We should. Again, I don't like to use the word should. Maybe we can see beauty. You know, we can see beauty in the most challenging things. Like some people, maybe taking care of our mother or father. You know, no matter how challenging it is, there is beauty in that for sure. Or anything, disabled kid, which I think is one of the hardest things, maybe. But we know a few people with challenged kids, and it's pretty hard. I can imagine, because it's all the time, and there's beauty in that. You know, your cousin, for example, everybody loves him. You know, he's like your favorite cousin. You keep saying him, you're the best cousin. But he really is a happy guy, and he wants everybody to be happy. You know, Gino will be, you know, a little bit stressed. He comes here, Marco, and Gino, you know, he forgets everything, all the stresses, and starts smiling again. So yeah, even, in Marco, with all his challenges, I'm sure, especially for his mom, he is a beautiful person. I mean, even to us, he can be challenging, but still, you know, because he does spend quite a bit of time with us. Um, there's so much beauty in him, you know. Yeah, in everything in life. It's all, I think, a perception, the way we see it. Yeah, but easier said than done.
Time to quick meditation.
Okay.
Sure.
If anybody wants to stick around. If not, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, John.
Good job.
See you all for next
Take
week.
it easy now. Thank you.
Get a comfortable position. Feet flat on the floor, or laying down, or hands relaxed. And we focus on the breath. Complete control over nasal breathing. In through the nose, out through the nose. With each breath, we move deeper and deeper into a relaxed state. Let's keep our tongue up against the roof of the mouth, or roll it back and suck on it. Eyes are getting heavier. Every cell is getting heavier in the body, every muscle. Feel the blood system flowing. Feel the lymph system flowing. Feel the heart slowing down. With each breath, we get deeper and deeper. Let's bring our focus to below the belly button. The mini tornado spinning counterclockwise. And the tornado tip is touching the part below the belly button as it spins faster and faster. Brings balance. Balance is restored. Feel the tension disappear. Feel the body getting more and more relaxed as the tornado spins faster and faster. If the mind wanders, just bring it back. Any thoughts, just watch them flow by. Not yours. And we move the focus to the genitals. The mini tornadoes spinning faster and faster, bringing balance to that area. For the males, the testes. For the woman, it's the ovaries. As the tornado spinning faster and faster, our feel strength gets higher and higher. And the plow flows more and more. So we can send out more and more for the weaker fields. your focus on the genitals. Tornado spinning faster and faster. The breath is smooth and minimal. Dragging it deep down. As we move the focus down to the perineum between the genitals and anus. And the loose skin there. The tornado spinning faster and faster. Keep sucking out the tongue. Keep it in the roof of your mouth. Just allow any thought to just float on by. As the tornado spinning faster and faster. They bring balance to that area. As we move the focus to the tailbone, the tip of the tailbone, bottom of the spine. Tornado spinning faster and faster. Feeling electrical energy flowing up and down the spine. Building field strength. Tornado spinning faster and faster as you bring balance to that area. Move the focus up to between the kidneys, up the spine. Just below the bottom ribs. Sit the kidneys under there. The king and queen. Energy centers. Emotional centers. Feel the kidneys getting more and more relaxed and opening up, allowing energy to flow through as the tornado spinning faster and faster, bringing balance to that area. Feel those kidneys tension completely release. Open up as they can do their job much better when we bring balance, energetic balance to that area. Bring the focus up to between the shoulder blades. Allow the tornado to go up the spine between the shoulder blades. As the tornado spins faster and faster, brings balance to that area. A lot of us hold a lot of tension in that area. Just release it and let it go. As the tornado spinning faster and faster, brings balance to that area. Feed your breath. The tornado spins faster and faster. Takes within itself all the imbalances and brings them back to balance. As we move the tornado up to the bottom of the skull where it meets the spine. Tornado spinning faster and faster, bringing balance to that area. You can feel the spine elongate as the field strength gets higher and higher. As the tornado spinning faster and faster, bringing balance to that area. We bring the focus up to the top of the head, center point of the head, 1,000-point junction. Tornado spinning faster and faster, bringing balance to that area. Feel the tornado pulling upwards, elongating the spine. With each breath, spinning faster and faster, bringing balance to that area. As the tornado spinning faster and faster, we bring the focus down to the third eye. Tip of the tornadoes on the third eye. Opening up and clearing our vision. Seeing through all the propaganda lies. Truth cannot be held back anymore. It's becoming clearer and clearer. The new understanding has opened up areas of understanding that we didn't have any clue. As the tornado spinning faster and faster, bring about to that area. The vision gets clearer and clearer. As the tornado is spinning faster and faster, bringing balance to the area, we move the focus to the throat area, where the thyroid sits, parathyroid, voice box. Adam's apples for men. We feel the tornadoes bringing balance by spinning faster and faster. As we feel all that tension release from the tornado, spinning faster and faster. We feel strength getting stronger and stronger as it brings balance to the area. We move the focus down to the heart. Tornado spinning faster and faster, bringing balance to that area. As the tornado spinning faster and faster. We feel the plasma flowing out of the heart, sending all the plasma to all the weaker field strengths. They may find balance and move in the direction of peace, balance, correct conduct. That's the only way for we as humanity to move forward. We have no more options. It was always the option. And the only option that allows creation to continuously expand. As we move the tornado down to the solar plexus, the area above the belly button, below the ribs, solar plexus. Lots of nerve endings in that area. We have a gut feeling. Tornado spinning faster, faster, bring it balance to that area. Tornado spinning faster and faster, bring it balance to that area. As we focus on the breath, nasal breathing, with our tongue in the position we chose. And let's move the breath from the bottom of the tailbone. We breathe in and drive the air up the spine to the top of the head. Hold it for a moment on the top of the head. Let it out and drive the air down the front of the body back around to the tailbone. And continuously repeat that. In, going up. Hold a sec, 2, 3, and then release. And drive it down the front. Keep that air circulating up the spine, down the front. And when you're ready, start to come back in, move things around. Move your toes, your legs, your arms, your neck, fingers. When we're ready, we can open our eyes. And here we are.
Good.
Thank you guys so much for another ride.
Thank you guys.
It's always a blast.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're learning so much.
Yeah.
It's great, to see people that they're taking charge of their own health. And by doing that, we're helping the rest of the planet.
Thank you.
So awesome. Thank you so much. Continue. Understand it's all part of the journey. Make the time, a little bit of time every day. And all will be well.
Yep.
All is well.
All is well.
Thank you guys.
Love you all.
Love you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.